From crease to crease and corner to corner, Bettor Hockey Now is NHL fantasy and betting done better. Step into the dot for Bettor Hockey Now on the Bettor Sports Network.
Would help if my camera came on there. Welcome into another edition of Bettor Hockey Now here on the Bettor Sports Network and Fantasy Alarm. My line mates, as always, Mr. Christopher Morais at Fuzzy Chris 91, at Mr. at Ant Rivera 86, Anthony Rivera, fresh off his appearance on the BSN social media platform, talking a little Devils hockey, and myself at Pucking Thoughts at Adam Bernard here. Yeah, great to be here for another episode of BHN on BSN. A lot to talk about today. Going to be spending a lot of time in Western Canada and talking a little Sabre hockey as well. But of course, it is Halloween here when this episode will air. As you can tell, Anthony is in the spirit there. Tell us what you got there.
This is the Rebel Alliance Luke Skywalker helmet. They make these all the time now. Like, you can never get these when you were a kid. Now they make all of them. I also have here, if I can pull it up, I have the Ant-Man helmet from the Marvel movie. Like, they make all these props now that I wish they made when I was a kid. They were all like plastic fake helmets and masks and all that stuff, but I won't keep this on the whole time.
But and that's the thing too, like you said, like the thing you commented on is like the availability. Like when we were kids, like they would have maybe pick like 2 superheroes for that Christmas season, and that is what they produced. You know, it wasn't like Target, they have like whole aisles just for superhero stuff, you know, like it's crazy. You kids have no idea how the selection you have.
Do you know how badly as a kid I wanted a proton pack from the Ghostbusters movie? Now they make them like they're nothing.
Yeah, I remember my dad like made me one because like you couldn't just go to the store and buy them because nobody just made them. Now, you know, go to Amazon, you might even have it by tomorrow if you order early enough in the day. So like that's where we've come. But yeah, we'll talk about hockey players we would dress up for as Halloween later. It's been a good week and another week in the NHL. Let's go. As always, we'll get going here with a little quick hits. We'll keep this Western Canadian edition. First and foremost, Heritage Classic on Sunday. Connor McDavid returning to the ice was the big story. Edmonton cruises by Calgary 5-2 at Commonwealth. Let's start first period here with the Oilers. 2-5-1 currently. I mean, we could talk about what the issue is. They didn't have McDavid for a couple of games, so that's that there. You know, are you worried about Edmonton at all? Is this just like typical early season speed bumps that like, all right, you know, in March we're going to forget this ever happened? You know, like to me, like this just like to me, there's no reason to really be worried in Edmonton yet. Yes, the goaltending's an issue, but I think they'll be fine.
I mean, I'm not going to press the panic button. If there's one of those buttons, right, in like the villain movies there where you have to open the glass and then slam it, I'm not there yet. I'm in the same room as the panic button, though. I'm making sure that I got it because that Pacific Division looks quite good to start. And I didn't have that on my bingo card, and I don't think many people did. So if you start to trail early in that division, it's going to be really hard to catch up. So as we know, the goaltending is just miserable. It is bad. It is so bad. I don't know how they're going to fix it. Defensively, they are what they are. And I think this is what you're looking at when McDavid is just he's just really good. When he is not superhuman, right, with Draisaitl. Draisaitl's had a great start to the season. He's got 13 points already. He looks like himself. He's going out there doing what he needs to do. But, you know, when McDavid just has, he has 2 goals in this, and we thought he was going to run away with every single award that existed. Obviously a slower start for him, but I'm not panicking just yet because when you have the best player in the world on your team, and then you also have the second best player on your team, chances are you're going to figure it out at some point. It's not a question of scoring goals for them. It's a question of who's going to help keep the puck out of the net.
Yeah, I feel like goaltending just around the league with some of the better teams. I mean, look what's happening in Carolina, too. They're struggling goaltending-wise. So we knew coming into this season that this was going to be the biggest worry for the Edmonton Oilers, right? And, you know, I'm looking at the standings right now. Golden Knights still undefeated. I mean, I don't know if anyone's going to get past them in that Pacific Division. Canucks are off to a good start. Kings, who they also struggling with goaltending. They're, you know, 4-2. Who would have thought the Ducks would be playing the way they are right now? Kraken struggling, Oilers, Flames, and sorry, Adam, but the Sharks are just non-existent. Right?
There's nothing to apologize for. There's still part of the fan base that's like, hope wanting them to win. I'm like, no, like this is great. Like, make a run at your historically bad season. Like, I think
they are historically bad. This is a team that they have 9 goals on this season.
Embrace this though. Like, and listen, I get it. There's the fan out there. They're not to say they don't care about the long-term outlook, but they just come home, from a long day at work and watching a Sharks game before they go to bed is, their way of unwinding, and they want to see their team win more often than they lose. I get that. But like, no, this year root for losing. Like, it's not even about what players are in. Just, you need to bottom out. This is the time to bottom out. And they're off to a great start. About 1/8 of the way into the season here. They look great.
Yeah, they are miserable.
But yeah, and to go back to your point, you said about the Pacific Division being really tough. We're going to go through a couple other teams there in a minute. But yeah, Vegas and LA are certainly they've shown up and they're going to be here to stay. When you look at the top 5 Rocket Richard candidates here, McDavid being gone, now he's back. Auston Matthews with the start he's at plus 165. Pasternak plus 450. There you see McDavid up 500 and Draisaitl 550. Anthony, there's your guy Jack Hughes off to a strong start at plus 1200. Is McDavid still the guy you want to place your money on at this point?
I mean, he's not the only one you have to place money on, right? Like, you could place money on him and on other people. Like, it's not just like I can only place 500 on McDavid, because like obviously you would. We know what he's done, but I'm telling you right now, if you're not placing the plus 1200 on Jack Hughes, you're doing yourself a disservice. I mean, unless he gets some catastrophic injury this season, at the pace that he's scoring goals, and I know it's early in the season, but 18 points in 7-8 games. He almost had a point last night too, and he had like a secondary assist, he had the third assist. But I mean, this guy is scoring points and getting goals at a very healthy rate for himself. And put on top of that line, you have Meyer and Toffoli, and this guy's going to continue to score points, I think.
I mean, we are just doing a disservice here to Alex DeBrincat. I don't remember him dying recently. He currently leads the NHL in goals, and he has reminded us that he can score goals. I think that pairing that he has with Larkin is just right now it's clicking, and I think that like the part that works for him the best is the Detroit Red Wings are kind of not a great team. They're good. Their goaltending is miserable. They don't really play well defensively. Shane Gostisbehere plays a lot of hockey, so that tells you all you need to know about defense for Detroit. He's at plus 1,800, and he's currently there. I know it's a lot for him to maintain that pace that he's on right now, but like he's a player who has scored 40 plus before, so it's not out of the woods for him to be able to score goals. I think a lot of people are shocked just at how many he has gotten off the start. And if Detroit wants to be competitive, they're going to be in a lot of those shootout games. He's going to have the opportunity to score goals because just like Ville Husso and James Reimer are not 2 goalies I want to put a ton of stock in long term. So yes, I mean, looking at some of the options there, obviously the Leon Draisaitl's, the Connor McDavid's, I just think there's too many options in New Jersey for Jack to be scoring all of them. I mean, Tyler Toffoli looks like he's 22 again. He's just out there just finishing every single opportunity that he gets. Obviously, the Auston Matthews of the world, they can score goals. Pasternak is defying the odds. I'm pretty sure he could score goals if I was passing him the puck as well. So I would like to see. I would sprinkle a little bit on Alex DeBrincat. I think he has earned some of my hard-earned money to win the Rocket Richard this year.
I like Anthony's play on Jack Hughes. I do agree, though. I feel like he may be more of a play at the Art Ross versus the Rocket Richard total points. That might be a better way to go there because he is going to be a prolific scorer, but because what he's surrounded by, he's also going to rack up a ton of assists like he usually does. So that might be the better play there. The Brincat, I feel like, has to cool off at some point, but he's clearly going to be the guy that the offense runs through there with him and Larkin are going to be the 1-2 punch. So not a bad play there. I'm still on McDavid at plus 500 because you know how it is. When he misses time, he makes up for lost time. He goes on these, 2-week long streaks where he just produces nonstop at a high clip. So I'm still going to be on him at that point. That's my play there. But Edmonton, I'm not concerned with them yet. I think they'll snap out of it. But a team that I don't know if they'll snap out of it or not, and we can't blame the Daryl Sutter anymore, is the Calgary Flames, excuse me. South of the Oilers, both geographically, in the standings, and just in overall quality. When you look at the overall team stats, they can kill penalties, but that's about it. So where are we pointing the finger here for the Calgary Flames?
The whole team. Just like, if you had the opportunity to press the panic button, we can clearly do so now. This is a terrible hockey team. Like at first, like we said, we could blame Sutter all you want, but Sutter's not there anymore. So somebody's got to figure it out. Jacob Markstrom is fine, but you don't pay him to be fine. You pay him to be good. Dan Vladar is just, he's just cashing in a check now. He's committing wage theft against his employer. So there's not much that's going on for him there. But this specifically, two players who are really just looking miserable, and that is Jonathan Huberdeau and Nazem Kadri. Huberdeau has 5 points. That's fine. It's not shooting the puck very much. I don't put much stock into plus minus because we know it's a meaningless stat. But Huberdeau is a -10 to himself, and Nazem Kadri is a -11. So when the rest of your team is kind of in like the, some players are like +2, +3, some of them -4, -5, you say, okay, well, the team is where they are, right? But when you have two players who stick out like a sore thumb, then at one point it has to be them. And specifically for Nazem Kadri, he has 2 points and he's a -11. So if you're not there to be good in your own, like if you can't score, then you got to be good defensively. That's kind of the rule, right? Like if you can't contribute, you got to make sure that you're not making mistakes. And he just looks absolutely terrible. Yeah, out there, he's just skating circles around. It's just not much. Even the goal that he scored yesterday hit his body. So there's not much that's going on for him. I would have them as well as there to miss the playoffs. This is a bad team, man, all around. I don't know how they come out of this.
It's funny you talk about Kadri that way, because I had in one of my fantasy leagues, I needed to pick up a center for an injury replacement. And I'm like, oh, Kadri's out there. And then I look at his stats. I'm like, ugh.
No.
Like, nope. I mean, and like a year or two ago, you would be like, oh my God, like, why is this guy out there? You'd be like putting a nice chunk of your fab on him. I could have had him for free. And I was like, I'll pass.
It's a different experience than playing in Colorado and playing in Calgary. I think he's starting to. I think he's starting to realize that it has not been very joyful to be a Calgary Flame the last year and a bit here. So, but I have already pressed the panic button on them. I'm a Jacob Markstrom owner in a couple of leagues, and it's just like, man, it's not working out.
We know who has the worst goal differential in the Western Conference. The second worst is the Calgary Flames at -15. The guy they got rid of, Tyler Toffoli, who was one of their best players last season, a career year, has 7 goals right now with the Devils. He has the same amount of goals as Mangiapane, Lindholm, and Huberdeau combined. That's 7.
And Toffoli last year, even in that team that was just a dreadful, he still, I think, had like 34 and 39 for them. So he was still very, very productive in an environment where he had a reason to not be. And as you just pointed out, it's clear that Toffoli is he's capable of doing it no matter where he goes, and Calgary sorely misses him.
Yep.
It's unfortunate, right? Because they've lost a lot of players, and some of them it's through no fault of their own, right? Gaudreau didn't want to be there. Tkachuk didn't want to be there. Toffoli's kind of just getting rid of money at one point, but they have not, like, the players they've gone out to replace those players. I thought Brad Treliving did a good job when he was there, trying to at least keep this team competitive and say, hey, we're not just going to fold and go through this long rebuild process. We can bring in guys and turn it into something. And those players have just not turned it into anything. They are not good, and they are a problem.
How far away is this Calgary New Arena? They expected to begin construction in 2024, so it's a few years away. I mean, if this is the direction of the Flames, I almost think at some point you just start going in the direction of the Sharks, bottom out, and then try and be on the upswing for when that new building opens. But I get you also have to probably sell, luxury boxes and season tickets, and that's also not helpful if you're down in the dumps when you're going into a new building. Looking at the odds on the screen, Flames -102 to make, -125 to miss. You got to go miss at this point. I mean, we talked about the depth of the division. We know Edmonton is probably not this bad. Even though Seattle is under 500, they've been in a lot of those games. They've looked tough. I think that'll start to balance out a little bit, but there is no reason to have any hope in Calgary right now. Like the playing in the Heritage Classic, that was probably your season highlight. Even though you lost, that was probably the high water mark for the season right there, the way it looks in Calgary.
The jerseys were nice.
Yes, yes.
At least they have that.
Well, look at the Western Conference. Avalanche, Stars, those are two teams that are primed to make it, right? The Golden Knights, for sure. I assume that the Wild will be in that mix, and the Kings. And then there's some teams that are like trying to turn their franchise around, like the Ducks and the Coyotes. And I have more faith in the Kraken turning it around and making a playoff spot than I do in the Flames.
Now, speaking of teams in the mix that, we talked about a team that we thought, all right, they're going to bet the Oilers. They're going to probably snap out of this. No reason to hit the panic button yet. Good reason to hit the panic button in Calgary, but third period here in quick hits, the Vancouver Canucks. If you 5-2-1, again, early in the season, we're only, like barely an eighth of the way in. But did we maybe disrespect the Canucks a little bit too much last year, coming into the season, I should say? Or is this a team that well, you're not hitting the panic button in a bad way. It might just be like, hey, guys, just keep doing this. Don't you have to keep I don't know. I don't think they're meant to be at the top of the standings, and I think they're going to come back down to earth soon.
There's probably a little bit of regression that's due for them just because they are the Canucks, but this is a team with good players to start with. I mean, Elias Pettersson, in my mind, is elite. I think JT Miller is one of those players that you kind of forget is really, really good at playing hockey in every sense of it. And then when Brock Besser starts to, score goals, that obviously helps. And Andrei Kuzmenko plays it the way that he does. That helps as well. I think the biggest turnaround here is how they play defensively. And Quinn Hughes made it a point to say he wanted to shoot more and score more goals. And he has achieved that. He has made sure to remind, I don't know if he's been hanging out with Jack and Luke, because that's probably two players I'd want to hang out with if I was looking to score goals or learn how to shoot a lot better. So he's come out, he's playing all the important roles. I mean, there's a lot going on here, and Thatcher Demko is being the goalie that he needs to be to lead it. So there's a lot of different pieces that are going in the right direction, and this has brought them some early success. Some games they look like they don't deserve to be there, so there's still some hiccups that they got to correct, but it is that they started the year on a statement, and they have maintained the pace of being a good hockey team. So I like their chances of if they were to take a playoff spot, they would take, Calgary's there, or they'd at least make Edmonton put some work in to at least get into their Pacific Division standings. But I think they're legitimate for now.
Look, we did this throughout the entire summer with the mock drafts, and whether you agree with the way they were ranked or not, you have a player in each position, forward, defense, goalie, that's probably top 10, right? Elias Pettersson was ranked top 10 for forwards. Quinn Hughes ranked in the top 10 for defense, and Thatcher Demko, no matter what you thought of the team, was ranked up there as a top goalie for the fantasy rankings. So, you start there with those three players, and, you're off to a good start. Hopefully it can continue for them. You want to see these teams make the turnaround, and hopefully Vancouver can keep it up. I mean, they have a better chance of, mixing things up than I would say if they were in the Central Division, right? I mean, it's the Golden Knights clearly number one, but the Kings could be good, but, the goaltending, if they had a Thatcher Demko, they may be even better. The Ducks, I don't know. I feel they'll come back down to earth. The Kraken could turn it around. We all think the Oilers would turn it around. Flames and Sharks out. So the Canucks can come in here, and if they can continue to play the way they are right now, they scored 31 goals. The differential's 12. If they can keep this up and keep playing and beat these terrible teams down there in the division, they may have a good chance of maybe cracking close to a playoff spot, maybe being a point or two away, but you have a top goaltender in Demko, and you're off to the races there.
So, all right. So we started to kind of go through the Pacific. So we know Vegas and LA will put them top two. You will still put Edmonton in that top three for now, thinking they're that fourth spot. We know San Jose is not going to be there. Anaheim, like you said, probably comes back down to earth. Calgary not looking good. So now it comes down to Seattle or Vancouver for that fourth spot in the Pacific, which is obviously a wild card spot. You look at the Central, Colorado, Dallas are definitely in. We're still going to give Minnesota the benefit of the doubt like we are with Edmonton. That puts it 3. So now you're talking about Seattle, Vancouver, Winnipeg, Nashville. I'll still throw in that mix. St. Louis, no, they're not going to be. So that you're basically talking about 4 for 2. They certainly, they can be there. And I think one of the reasons that they're playing better is Filip Hronek was an underrated addition to the blue line, playing on that top pairing now with Quinn Hughes, and he's on the second power play unit. So now he's become a fantasy person you got to consider. And maybe not a top 2 defenseman on your team, but somebody that could play that 3 or 4 spot or be on your bench and rotate in. So they're definitely trending in the right direction. While we talk about Calgary's trending very much in the wrong direction, they're going the right way. But we need to see it over a period of time. We need to see it sustained. Pettersson, 2 goals and 11 assists to start the year. Things are looking good, but again, it's with cautious optimism, I would say, in the Pacific Northwest.
I mean, Demko's off with a 191 goals against average and a 936 save percentage. This man is off to an absolute banger of a start.
Beautiful.
And as much as you want to give, like, as much as Adam talks about giving the benefit of the doubt to the Minnesota Wild look like they have lost the ability to understand how the game of hockey is played. They are just bleeding goals left, right, and center. Marc-Andre Fleury, Philip Gustafson, they have no idea how to stop the puck right now. I'm pretty sure I could get at least a tip in on them if I was standing in front of the net with my stick down. But they defensively look pretty bad. So there's a spot to be grabbed somewhere. And it is Vancouver's to lose. As long as their goaltending is good like it is, I think Casey DeSmith is kind of off to they keep saying nice things about him, but his goals against average is not there. His save percentage is pretty high, which kind of explains a little bit the games that he's played in. They have not looked very good, the Vancouver Canucks. They've looked like a mess. So once they correct that, I think they should be just fine. But I have some faith there.
You mentioned them really quickly, Adam, and the Winnipeg Jets, because we talked about them throughout the entire offseason. Will they, won't they bring back Hellebuck? Will he get traded? But now that he's signed along with Scheifele, who's, I think he's like second in points on that team right now. I think he has, he's second below Connor with 7. They're tied for 7 points. But now that they know that these guys are staying, do you think that gives them a little bit of more good feeling going into the rest of this season, off to a pretty decent start?
I don't buy into whatever the Winnipeg Jets are doing right now. They look okay. They are getting contributions from everybody in that lineup. But Connor Hellebuck is still trying to find his game. Those numbers, the numbers that you pay him for are not the numbers that they should be, right? He's got a sub 900 save percentage. His goals against average is fine, right? I'm not looking at Laurent Brossoit to be a leader here. I'm looking for him to just, exist and be called upon when he needs to be and be good. But I mean, there's still not enough that I like about. To me, the Jets have to beat somebody to be able to get to that spot, and I don't think that they will. I just don't think they're better than some of the teams that are either going to be ahead of them. I don't think they're better than the LA Kings. I don't think they're better. If you stick in the Central, I don't think they're better than Minnesota. I think Minnesota's just off to a rough one. They're basically the Nashville Predators, but with a little bit of lipstick, because they got some nice names up front who can score goals, and they got a pretty good goalie. But I don't trust them to exist.
Power rank. So we talked about this. Basically, comes down to the 4 wild card spots among the 4, 2 wild card spots among the 4 teams. I would probably put Vancouver 1. No, Seattle 1, Vancouver 2, and then probably Winnipeg 3, and then Nashville 4. Like, that's where they rank among those 4, and that's who they're competing with if we're not ready to give them a top 3 spot in that division, which we aren't.
I don't think they're just there. I do think Seattle has an opportunity to turn it around. They're not scoring goals. This is a team that finished top 5 in goals per game. They've forgotten how to finish. And Philip Grubauer is 0-4 on the year. He can't win a game right now. He is getting slaughtered when he goes out there. So he needs to be a lot better. The Seattle Kraken have to play better as a team. and they need to find a way to just generate any type of offense, because right now they don't look like a very good hockey team. But I have more faith in them than I do in the Winnipeg Jets.
Speaking of the crack and crease, I went out and got Joey Daccord in a league this week, just in case. If he becomes the guy, listen, if Martin Jones can put up good numbers behind that team last year, then anything's possible. So Daccord's a guy, if you need some goaltending help, maybe go out and snag him, because like you said, Grubauer is not playing well. We'll move on to the Sabres. Favorite of ours here on this show, but the little Sabre dance that we're off to this year has not been a coordinated dance that much. They're hovering around 500. We know goaltending health has been an issue with Devon Levi. Comrie has gotten banged up. Lou Konen, he's got his first shutout recently. But this is just an early season, kind of like Edmonton. We're not maybe worried about them, but maybe we put a little too much hype on them, or was it just like, all right, it's early kinks, this is going to be worked out, and they're going to get back to where we thought they were going to be.
See, I'm I'm dying here as I'm listening to this.
Sorry.
I know, it's just tough. I think that defensively, this team is good. They haven't shown it yet. And their goaltending can't keep up right now. Like, they look like they're falling apart. So, and the injury to Devon Levi is not great. They're trying to get him to kind of figure it out and whatnot, but so far it's been tough. He is a rookie goalie, so let's remember that he needs the opportunity to get in. The injury is not good. Maybe the time off helps, work on certain things, work on your technique, work on your mental, but somebody's got to take that crease, man, because it is wide open. And I don't know if you're winning a playoff spot with Eric Comrie or Ugo Pekka-Luukkonen.
Are we worried that this is going to become one of these three-headed crease situations? Because Devon Levi is young, and I know they want to give him the – I know that they want so badly to just let this guy play 4 out of 5 nights. Let's see when he's actually healthy. They're going to give him, once he's back, they'll give him, I'm sure, a little bit of a leash there to figure it out. But from a fantasy perspective, I kind of worry about this becoming like a three-headed monster crease here, because it's, Comrie had to come up when Levi went down, but I feel like, I know the Islanders tried to do something like that a few years ago, and it was a mess. But I could see Buffalo doing that if nobody really emerges and grabs it.
And it's definitely a different situation than what Carolina's doing, right? With Freddie Anderson, who can has a hard time staying healthy, so you got to have these 2 other guys to help out there. I mean, Comrie got hurt against the Devils, and with Levi out, they had to go to Luukkonen, and they couldn't pull through and win the game against the Devils. This is going to be an issue if Levi can't stay healthy, and it could cost them a spot in the playoffs, right? They missed it by 1 point. We talked about.
Yeah, that was more the Penguins, vomiting on themselves the last 2 games than anything. But
there was a lot of hype for this team to take the next step, and with the kid in goal and in net, all the talk about him, and the thing is he's not healthy, right? And that's been the struggle there. So this team better find a way to start winning games here, because, you look at, they're at the bottom of the barrel right now of this Atlantic Division. The Bruins, undefeated. Maple Leafs, we know they're going to be there. Chris's Canadians off to a nice 5-2 start. We'll take it, right?
I guess. I don't know. Whatever they're doing works. Keep doing it.
The Red Wings are,
on the rise.
On the rise. They can be this year's Sabres, or like I mentioned last week, they could be this year's Devils and make the postseason. The Lightning, you have to expect that once the goalie comes back, everything will be a lot better for them. The Panthers, who are fresh off a Stanley Cup final run, they can make a run themselves. And the Senators, we've been waiting for the Senators to take the next step as well. So the Sabres, they might have the rough part of this entire division. And then you look at the Metropolitan, right? Rangers, Devils, Hurricanes, even the Islanders are off to a good start. Flyers got off to a good start, and the Capitals are 4-3 as well. So Penguins are the one that's in the bottom of that division. So, right now, the way they've been playing and looking at it, even with a healthy Devin Levi, I can't see them making the postseason or making the playoffs.
Are we concerned about Alex Tuch's slow start? I mean, I think he's got 1-3, 1-4 out of the box here, and he's a guy they need to be a top producer. They need him to put the puck in the net. That's what he's there to do. He's off to a little bit of a slow start there. Again, jury's still out for me, like if this is like what they are, if it's just a slow start. But a guy like Tuch needs to start putting the puck in the net.
I'm personally concerned because I drafted him. That's a personal concern because I need points. So, I mean, yeah, after the season he had last year, you want to see these guys play well. You want to see them score the points and win some games. And it's been a struggle. He's lowered. He's got 5 points right now, but we need to see him score some goals here. Right now it's Jeff Skinner and Rasmus Dahlin who's leading the team in points. And you kind of expected those two guys at the beginning of the season to do that.
I do think that I'm not too worried about Alex Tuch. I think he just complements that offense. He's not the guy who you have to count on really per se. He's kind of going to fill out that line wherever you want him to play. But there are other players there who have to do something. I'm not saying you have to expect the world, but Peyton Krebs after 9 games doesn't have a single point. Victor Olofsson has played 6, and he is a healthy scratch sometimes, and he has no points. So there are guys in that lineup who can, contribute, and they are not. They are not doing what they need to do. So I'm not particularly worried about Tuch. I would be more worried about those guys who kind of fill out the bottom 6, because you need that type of production right now from them, or you're going to be good defensively, right? And I'm not necessarily looking at Victor Olofsson and Payne Krebs to be really elite defensively. So again, if you're not going to contribute, at least you're going to be, good defensively, and that has not been the case for them just yet. So I think that they can still weather it. They're outside of like their goaltending being hurt, they're relatively healthy. It's not a team that's dealing with any major injuries. They're in shape. So I think there's an opportunity for them to go on a run, even if it, treads a little bit for now and they just kind of stay at 500 and exist. But that Atlantic division is really close to start. I mean, from the bottom till, Toronto, there's 3 points that separate these teams. So it's still very much up for grab, but you want to be able to collect those wins early in the year because they are much easier to win in October and November than they are at the end of March or beginning of April. Just ask the Pittsburgh Penguins how easy it could be if you're able to win games late in the year and the things that could happen.
You look at the schedule and who they've played and how this could have turned out if they would have won, right? They probably could have beaten the Islanders. They have more scoring power. They should have done it that way. Tampa's without without Vasilevsky. They should have took care of that one. They lost to Calgary. I mean, you shouldn't be losing to Calgary, right? At this point in time. They lost to Montreal. These are right. They should have, even you, Chris, would admit, right? They should have beaten Montreal. These
are teams that you beat, right? Like you have to beat them at some point. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure Buffalo was probably leading that game at some point. So you have to be able to just win those games, especially that one in Buffalo. You're on home ice. You have the opportunity. You can set up and everything. Like you can't be giving away wins on home ice. It's just not a thing. You got to be playing 650 hockey on home ice. You can get away with playing 500 on the road. That's fine. But 650 at home, and right now that's not the case. They're not winning games. They are, they're decent at home, but you can't be playing 500 hockey at home and expect good things to happen.
Absolutely not. Now, we talked about the centers down the middle. You need more from Krebs. They do get Jack Quinn, around Christmas. That's going to be what they would love to wake up Christmas morning and find Jack Quinn in their respective roster stockings. So that, that can help. And I don't know if that's like something that you necessarily are banking on, like, okay, that's going to be the guy that takes us there, but it's certainly going to be a nice injection and back into the lineup. Now, we talked about Rasmus Dahlin for a minute. Right now, he's at plus 700 for the Norris Trophy. Cal McCarr, the odds-on favorite, plus 225. Adam Fox next at plus 650. because Dahlin is up towards the top in the team in scoring right now. If the Sabres do put it together, he's going to be a big reason why he's going to be producing. Is Cale Makar like just setting that far of a gap with how well he's playing, or is, you know, maybe you put some money on Dahlin and, you know, maybe it pays off for you come June?
It could be. I mean, Dahlin's got he's got a lot of tools that could help him get to get into that Norris conversation, right? He can generate offense. We know that is a thing that people look at, right? He blocks shots. He plays well defensively. Sometimes those are things that are forgotten. I still think this is Cale Makar's, trophy to win, even though he's not, leading at the top today, right? You have Adam Fox and Shea Theodore. So let's remove Shea Theodore because he's going to come back down to earth at some point. I'm not buying into Evan Bouchard because Evan Bouchard is just a power play specialist. That's what he is. The same thing with Shane Gostisbehere. He's got 9 points, but he's nowhere in the conversation for anything good. The only dark horse I think for me who could really steal it from Makar is Quinn Hughes and the way that he has played to start. He looks, he's scoring goals, he's collecting points. Again, if you care about the plus minus, it's there. He's on a good team. That team is good because of him. But I do think that Dahlin has an opportunity, but I think he would need a lot more goals to help get him to where he needs to be. Because unfortunately, this award now is looked at defensemen who score goals and rack up points, right? That's what Erik Karlsson did. We knew that he wasn't the best defenseman defensively, but we knew that he could score goals and rack up points. So that to me is where Dahlin's going to have to really separate himself and start to, probably finish with closer to 20 goals, 75, 80 points, block about 125, 130 shots, finish with 175, 200 shots on goal. That kind of puts you in the Norris conversation pretty quick.
Yeah, if Dahlin can score the goals, I think that's huge for him. Chris is right on with that point. He only has 2 goals right now. 7 assists and 3 power play points. But, you look shots on goal, 22, 17 hits, 20. He's pretty well-rounded on a team that is struggling right now. Obviously Cale Makar is out of this world. He's also on probably one of the best teams in all of hockey right now in Colorado. But, Dahlin, the way he's been playing, especially on a team that's struggling. And if they can turn it around, if they can turn their season around and somehow, make the playoffs, I think he gets more of a look. But the goals definitely have to come up and the shots on goal for him as well. But besides that, I mean, the dude is very well-rounded as a player. And I would not hesitate to, sprinkle a little money on that plus 750 there.
Yeah, the odds changed just in the time that from when we started recording, because I looked, I'm like, oh, that was not what was there.
Live updates.
Live updates. Yeah, up to 750. So hey, even better odds right now. But yeah, I do think this really is Makar's award to lose. I mean, and Adam Fox could make a run. Obviously, being in New York helps. If they bounce back and they're at the top of the division or near the top of the division throughout, that helps. But again, I mean, to me, it's still Makar's to lose. Quinn Hughes is, I think, the pick there if you do want to go, quote unquote, dark horse, even though him and Adam Fox are the same odds. Fox has been there before. And hey, they do, maybe it's a first year for Quinn. If Vancouver really does do what we were talking about earlier and they play themselves into the steadily into the playoff picture, Hughes is going to be a big part of that, why that happened. So that has to be considered as well. So, it's Makar's to lose, but definitely, can't go wrong with Hughes. And hey, if the Dahlin numbers keep going that way and he keeps producing, why not just keep and then maybe, it bounces back. Maybe Makar gets hurt. Maybe Fox gets hurt. Those things can happen as well. So, with Buffalo, again, with right now they're towards the bottom of the division. Maybe we were a little early to heap as much praise on them as we did. But the thing with them is they are a young team. And young teams, when they get hot, they can get super hot and they can go on a tear. So still early in the season, we'll find out what's happening there. Now, everybody's getting choked up today here on BHN. It is definitely Halloween.
Spooky season.
And, hey, fall, the cold weather's coming. It's already by Chris by now. It's coming for me and Anthony at some point soon. So Halloween here today. If you had to dress up as one hockey player for Halloween, who would that be? Could be fictional or current, retired, alive, dead. Who are you going to dress up as for Halloween?
That's a good one. If I were, I will give you two. I will give you a current one.
Okay.
If I wanted to dress up currently, I might be a little bit tall, but I would dress up as Cole Caulfield. See if I can get those, see if I can pull some magic, maybe, score some goals in the league the same way he does. Because kind of bury a top corner when you have 3 inches of space, and that's, it's an inch and a half too much, giving Cole Caulfield the opportunity to bury it. I was fortunate enough to be in attendance when when Winnipeg was in town on Saturday. Definitely watching Cole Caulfield move the puck around is a fun experience to do. That is kind of neat. The second one, if I were to dress up just as a kind of fun, just a personality and everything that fits, it would be Ryan Reeves. Okay. I don't know if I have the Ryan Reeves size yet, or even close. I don't have the tattoos either, but I feel like I could maybe pull it off. Just maybe.
Okay. I give you a better chance of pulling off Caulfield than Reeves, but I mean, hey, I love both. Those are great ideas.
And which New Jersey Devils player would you dress up as?
I am going to go with a past New Jersey Devils player, full mullet and all, and do Jaromir Jagr. Switch the jerseys out every couple hours. Change the hairstyle. I mean, how could you not go Jagr? And if it's expensive, right? Because the jerseys are expensive. You got to go with the great one and Wayne Gretzky. Come on.
That's fair.
I love the idea of going with the rotating costume with Jagr, that you would probably have to go to the local bank and take out a small loan to accompany all the jerseys. Gretzky, like you said, much more budget friendly for jerseys. But yeah, I love both of those ideas. For me, I'm going to give 2 here. If I'm going to a party full of hockey fans, I'm going to go as one of the scarier defensemen of all time. And that's Mr. Chris Pronger. That is not a guy whose blue line you wanted to cross. That is not a person you wanted to go into a corner with, and he would not shy away from anybody. If I'm going to a party where it's more casual sports fans, give me Charlie Conway from the Mighty Ducks and the and now you can
got that jersey.
Now, and here's the beauty of that is you can do the rotating costume idea too. You could do the District 5 jersey, then the Green Ducks jersey, then the Ducks jersey we all know and love. You could do the Team USA jersey from D2. You can go the whole night, and it's still in a budget-friendly area. It's not like Jaromir Jagr-esque or a Mike Sillinger if you wanted to go really deep, a guy that bounced around the league a lot. That would be another journeyman there. But I love the journeyman costume idea. I'm gonna have to do that one year.
Or, it would be good too to pick one of those goalies from like the late 70s where they had the Jason mask and pull one of those off with the brown pads on.
Like a Jerry Cheevers Bruins mask would be a good one. You could definitely go with that, or classic Jacques Plante, the first goalie mask ever worn. As there's a lot of ways you could go there. Hockey does lend itself to really, and you got Jason from Halloween too, so that's kind of hockey related. So there's a lot of ways you could go with hockey on Halloween. That's the beauty of it. It's one of the great things about the sport.
And if you want everybody to hate you, you dress up as a referee, wear some dark glasses, some shades, so that way you're blind, so that way you can really fit into it. Get yourself a whistle that doesn't work for none of the penalties that are called, and make sure you are not a linesman, but really a referee. Go full out for the costume with the orange band across the arm.
Yeah, if you can get that far.
Yeah, and make some terrible calls while you're at the party. But just go out there, call it a trip and a dive at the same time. To just make sure you really sell that one for people.
Since you mentioned movie characters, what about Casey Jones from the Ninja Turtles? He had that cool mask on. He had the hockey stick. I mean, he wasn't a hockey player. Or maybe he was a hockey player that became some vigilante, but that mask I thought was always a cool one.
Now, another one you can't go wrong with, too, is the old classic Slapshot Hanson Brothers look there with the Charlestown Chiefs jerseys. You get the glasses with the Band-Aid hole in the middle. I mean, that's also a classic one. You can't go wrong with that. I mean, and even if you just want to go as a hockey player, you just borrow somebody's equipment. It's not a hard costume. It's an expensive costume to put together, but it's not a hard one if you could borrow the gear.
If you already play hockey, then it's easy. It's just other people have to deal with the stench that may come from it. So you got to make sure you invest a little bit of money in the Febreze bottle. Febreze it, air it out a little bit, make sure that, the blood, sweat, and tears comes out of it so that people at the party don't ask what you killed before you came over.
Yeah, because if you do go with your actual gear and someone's like, "What's that smell?" You know what it is.
You know exactly.
You know it's you. You know it's you. I mean, listen, I try to air my gear out as often as I can, and that helps. But nothing truly gets hockey smell out. It's like cat pee in that regard. Like once it's there, it's there. It never gets out.
And they try to sell you all these products that think it'll pull it out, but it doesn't. It's really good marketing though. If I was looking to start a business, it would be the spray for hockey equipment. There's no repeat business though, because nobody's buying it twice, but you'll get somebody at some point. That's the trick that you can play on a bunch of people, is thinking it'll work, but it doesn't.
The only thing I've ever tried that actually like kind of worked is like if you got really stinky hockey gloves, if you just like load it up with cornstarch and just let it sit in there, it will eat up some of the like moisture that's causing that stench. And again, nothing gets hockey smell out. If like Chris said, if they're selling something that says that they can get it out, they're lying to you. It doesn't exist. We've achieved a lot of things in up to 2023. That's not probably a flying car is more likely before a true Febreze that will work on hockey gear. Let's just call a spade here.
That's it. So just sport the jersey, maybe, if you want to be cool, maybe, I don't know, just borrow somebody's pants. Like the pants are not as stinky, I guess. You can get away with it if you want. Maybe take off the visor or the cage and you can wear the helmet. That's as far as you need to go. But don't bring the elbow pads out, the shoulder pads out, or any of that stuff. It's covered in stench.
You could get a pair of hockey socks for like $13 on Amazon right now. Whatever team color you want. It's just, fresh. They're clean. They don't have the smell. They're not
brand new, no holes either. It's good. It's good to go.
There you go. It's ready to rock. Those are all. Listen, and that's what's all about Halloween. Let's dress up, have fun, and don't give out good candy. Don't give out bad candy. That's the other thing. Like give out the stuff we all want. So like what ideally you going trick or treating? What's the one item? Or what's the one fun size thing you're hoping to get the most of?
It's always usually the same thing. I know, unfortunately, people down south don't have the pleasure of enjoying like Smarties and stuff like that. That's pretty good.
Smarties.
You guys got Smarties? No, it's the coffee crisp you guys don't got. That's what it is. You don't have the coffee crisp, but all those are good. The Arrows, the coffee crisp, the Mars bars, the Caramels, the Kit Kats. That's what we're looking for. Don't give me a lollipop. Don't give me the Rockets. Don't give peanuts or like nuts of any kind. No fruit, none of that. I would just leave it there. If you gave me like, I don't know, one lollipop, I'd be like, thanks. But
or if it's a blow pop, those are good with the gum inside or
most people
pop.
I'll take a good blow pop. I just, that's once in a while. Yeah. That's like if you give me a lot of them only around Halloween, I probably won't think to buy them the rest of the year. But yeah, when they're there, you're like, yeah, give me the sour apple or the watermelon blow pop. I like those. Only nuts are acceptable that are already inside within a candy bar. That's Reese's. The only way you can give nuts away.
That's it. Reese's bar and Mars bars, stuff like that. No, like, I don't know, salted nuts or like spicy nuts or stuff like that. Don't be that person. Don't be that house, because kids will remember stuff. Kids don't forget things.
Skittles.
I'll buy your things.
See, I like. So, Anthony said Skittles. I mean, I personally like the Baby Ruth bars. Those are always good. The little mini ones. You can't go wrong with the little Snickers or Milky Ways. Any of those chocolate bars. You can't, that's a crowd pleaser. Everybody goes home happy with that. Now, I happen to live next to a very nice person who gives away the full size bars on Halloween.
Yep. There's always one.
Yeah.
See, and you know that they're there. You see, they know you could be a hero, right? Not all heroes wear capes, but people who give out the full size, bars and stuff like that, you remember the house.
You go to them first. Yep.
You start there. You start early
because you go to them first because you're gonna get something good. And when they get the big bars, once they run out, it's pretty much that's the end of the day they're done by like 5 o'clock after they hand out a bar to each person. Another pack that I like is they do I think it's like Hershey's Special Dark. They do the Crackle, Mr. Good Bar. I like those chocolates as well.
Oh yeah, the little kisses that come in a lot of varieties. Yeah, because you don't see them. Like this is the year when like the different wrappers mean different things, and you get excited. Like, oh, this one's got like an orange and black swirl. What's in like
all the different M&Ms you can throw in there. Now they do actually. M&Ms has I don't know. It's kind of like a trail mix pack that it's regular peanut and peanut butter together in one pack. That's definitely a winner for me.
You know what's great about that is like, why didn't you think about that sooner? That's such an easy idea. It doesn't cost you anything except changing the way you package everything into one, and you get it whatever the color of the bag is going to be for that.
Yep.
Yeah. Now I'm going to be looking out for those on Halloween. I'm definitely looking out for those. But,
we did buy some candy early. Like, you know, they usually have the sales early in October, the big bags and stuff. So we have, I think it's Kit Kat, a Reese's, and then a pumpkin Reese's, a little bit different. And I don't know if they're going to make it till tomorrow because I keep chopping down on some candy. So hopefully there's some left for the kids.
I shove them in a bag and put them like somewhere in the garage where I'll forget about them until I need to get them, like, you know, in about a couple hours. But yeah, it's the best best time to get candy tomorrow.
Yeah,
that's when you go to your drugstores and your grocery stores and you get like 5 bags for like $2 or something like that. But I mean, also
when they're on sale, you just pick up whatever they got left. You're like, let me leave with this. So let me help you empty the shelf. I got this.
Yeah, the stock boys work hard. They don't need to work any harder than they already do.
That's
so
it. Give them the chance to start putting the Christmas stuff up. You know, let me empty out the Halloween candy for you.
We're not going to have that debate now, but Christmas starts after American Thanksgiving. That's a whole other show. We could do a whole series of shows on that. But that does it for this edition of Bettor Hockey Now on Bettor Sports Network and Fantasy Alarm. We come out every Tuesday with a new episode, a little bit of fantasy focus, a little bit of a gambling focus. Today we did a little Halloween talk too. Always a fun show here with Mr. Christopher Morais at Fuzzy Chris 91 and Mr. Anthony Rivera at Ant Rivera 86. My line mates here at Pucking Thoughts, Adam Bernard on Bettor Hockey Now on the Bettor Sports Network and Fantasy Alarm. For those guys and for myself, have a happy Halloween, be safe, and we will talk to you next Tuesday in November here on Bettor Hockey Now.
Bettor Hockey Now is on the Bettor Sports Network.